It's been over 6 years since I bought a Tesla Model 3. And while I've loved a lot of things about driving a Tesla Model 3, there are some things I haven't liked about it and the brand over the years. Full disclosure, I do not own any Tesla stock. I don't short Tesla stock. The number one highlight for me with the Model 3, looking back on my experience with it over the years, has been it's an electric vehicle. You see so much in the news today about consumers pulling back from electric vehicles, but let me tell you, getting an electric vehicle, in my opinion, is totally worth it. I do not miss it all having to go to a gas station every week. I just fill up my car in my garage, plugging it into the wall. Though, to be fair, yes, if you're a renter and you're looking at an electric vehicle, depending on where you're renting in your situation, that hasn't quite been solved yet, at least here in the US, for the majority of renters. Another benefit of not having to deal with gas is zero emissions, and I'm not just talking about CO2 emissions here. One thing I think too many people overlook with gas cars is they emit toxic fumes and carcinogens. So if you remote start your car in your garage, open up the garage door, walk in, you're going to be breathing in a lot of bad stuff. With my Model 3, I don't breathe in any toxic fumes after remotely starting my car. Plus, it doesn't add to local air pollution, which every gas-powered vehicle does. The second thing I've loved about owning a Tesla Model 3 6 years later is Tesla doesn't have any third-party dealerships. Now, if you're outside of the US, this may, depending on your situation, seem like an odd thing to highlight. But here in the US, if you want to buy a vehicle, most of the time you're buying through a third-party dealership where you'll have to haggle over the price. With Tesla, because they own all of their own stores and service centers and control the entire experience, it's so much better. The day I took delivery of my Model 3, it took less than 10 minutes to sign the paperwork I needed to sign that day, and then I was in and out of the Tesla store within an hour. In other instances, Tesla will even deliver your new vehicle right to your home. You can watch tutorials online or in your new Tesla that'll guide you through how to use your vehicle, which streamlines the onboarding process even further. The next thing I've loved about the Model 3 over the past 6 years is the tech stack. I'm not always used to saying this for a 6-year-old product, but the software experience is still fluid, there's no lags, and it feels like a whole different car in certain respects thanks to the software improvements Tesla has made to it over the years. Like Sentry Mode, which monitors your car and turns on the cameras if anyone gets too close to it or damages it. Dashcam recording is another good one. The car always records footage while you're driving, so if anything crazy happens or you get into an accident, you'll have proof of exactly what occurred. This was pretty useful for me when my car was rear-ended in 2020. Another notable feature I've used is the greenlight chime, where the car can recognize a green light and give you a little chime after the light turns green. The Model 3 can also read speed limit signs and give you a similar chime when you go a certain set speed over the speed limit, which has certainly kept me from getting a speeding ticket. And just within the past few weeks, the car has been updated to visually show all of the available parking spaces around the car, where you can just slow down and tap one to engage auto park. The UI makes it easy to edit and change around your favorite icons in the dock. You can integrate your phone calendar with the car's tech as well. It'll also try to guess where you want to go based on your habits, and I've found that's often pretty accurate. Over time, they added in a Spotify integration as well as Apple Music, and while it doesn't have CarPlay or Android Auto, do I wish it did? Sure, maybe. I mean, to be fair to Tesla, it's not like their user experience and user interface is missing all that much at this point. You've got maps with live traffic data, music, hands-free phone calls, reading text messages aloud. That covers a lot of the main things I use CarPlay and Android Auto for. The only thing that's really lacking in Tesla software is its voice control feature. It's just not as good as using Siri or the Google Assistant on your mobile device, and most of the time I just use whatever assistant is on my phone or watch to control and play media. Some other great things about Tesla's tech stack are the unlock and drive feature, where your car will automatically unlock when it senses your phone is nearby, and after getting in, you just put your foot on the brake to fully turn it on and put it in drive. I love how seamless it is. Now, yes, on occasion, sometimes the door just won't unlock, and when it does that, that is a bit frustrating, but over the past 6 years, that's more of a rarity than the norm. The Tesla app is another highlight. It's easy to remotely precondition my car's cabin and do things like pop the trunk remotely or remotely unlock it. The app also shows you an estimation of how much you've spent on electricity costs through charging at home or traveling, and it also lets you remotely install software updates. The app also allows you to schedule service and get roadside assistance, both of which I've used, and both experiences were seamless. I was especially impressed with the roadside assistance experience and how fast they were able to get to me when I had a flat on the side of the highway. The next thing that stands out with the Model 3 6 years later is the driving performance. It has a sporty suspension and fast acceleration, even for the cars without the performance package. The Model 3's design pushes the dash closer to the front of the car, giving excellent visibility to the road. And it's a pretty safe vehicle, which is often something people overlook with Teslas. It has 5 stars in NHTSA's safety ratings, comes with forward collision warning and avoidance, parking sensors, at least on my model, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and because it doesn't have an engine at the front, the frunk, which is the front trunk, it actually doubles as a crumple zone in a crash. Moving on, the last thing that I've really liked about my Tesla Model 3 is the premium sound system. The speakers just sound great, with rich detail in the music and good bass. It's still one of my all-time favorite things about the car. Now, one giant feature often associated with Tesla that I haven't yet mentioned is Autopilot, and there's a reason for that. Now, I started out using Autopilot all of the time with my Model 3. I had the full self-driving beta enabled on it, though I didn't really use it when I first got the car anyways. And Autopilot was great. Used it on a lot of highway road trips down to Atlanta. But now that it's been 6 years later, what I've found is I just don't trust it. What happened, you may ask? Tesla Vision. You see, a few years ago, Tesla CEO Elon Musk changed Tesla's strategy to only rely on cameras for all of their Autopilot features. Like other cars in the industry, Model 3s previously relied on cameras, a front-facing radar, and proximity sensors around the car. But newer Model 3s don't come with radar or proximity sensors, just cameras. Back around 2022, when Tesla first started rolling out this new camera-only software called Tesla Vision to my car, I didn't fully grasp the ramifications for what enabling that would do, which is disabling the front forward-facing radar, and boy, was that not fun. Soon after my car started using Tesla Vision, I was driving on the highway, I was approaching an overpass or going right under it. I can't remember exactly when it started, but it just started braking in the middle of the highway, like very suddenly. And luckily, I'm pretty cautious when I used Autopilot, so I was able to immediately slam my foot on the accelerator pedal, get it back up to speed in a hurry. But if anyone was tailgating behind me, they probably would have rear-ended me. It was braking that suddenly. I immediately switched off full self-driving with Tesla Vision and went back to normal Autopilot, which at the time still seemed to use the front radar built into the car. But over time, as more reports of other Tesla drivers having similar experiences, plus reporting came out on Tesla's reckless approach to developing Autopilot, and reports that Tesla was unplugging the front radar or remotely deactivating it on cars, whether owners wanted that or not, all of this, plus my own experience using Autopilot, caused my trust in Tesla with this feature to plummet to the point where I just don't even use it. All right, what's the biggest downside with the Model 3 6 years later? Honestly, it's Tesla CEO Elon Musk, which, well, first, this should tell you that the product's got to be pretty good if my main complaint is the company CEO, or it tells you the company CEO is becoming such a problem that it ranks at the top of my list. Either way, the reason for this is mainly because of his increasing erratic behavior and public political statements. Because look, I didn't buy a car to be a political statement. But anytime a CEO makes controversial statements, especially around politics, it changes how people view the brand and it impacts how people view you driving a vehicle of that brand. The Tesla CEO's erratic behavior, reported hard drug use, admitted ketamine use, and impulsive decision-making, like spending $40 billion on Twitter, ungodly amounts of R&D money and company focus on the Cybertruck, or firing the entire supercharging team on a whim. You know, the team responsible for one of Tesla's main competitive advantages. All of this adds up to a feeling of chaos and disorganization under this Tesla CEO's leadership. And I'm clearly not the only one who feels this. The CEO's antics have caused positive brand sentiment for Tesla to decline over the past few years significantly. Moving on, the next downside I've encountered involves Tesla service, and this is specific to the area I live, which is the Raleigh-Durham area, which has over 1 million people in the metro area. We have one Tesla service center. This causes the service center to always be packed. A lot of times there are considerable wait times depending on what you're trying to get fixed on your car, and half the time there are 0 parking spaces available in the lot for you to park your car to drop it off for service, causing a lot more stress than is necessary for a car service visit. And because Tesla still tightly controls who can do repairs on their cars, there aren't many third-party service options available. Another downside is road trip time. While I generally love driving my Tesla Model 3 on short road trips over the years, road trips do take a bit longer due to having to charge the vehicle. Typically, I'll stop 15 to 20 minutes at a supercharger every 200 to 300 miles, which, if you're doing a long road trip, can add up. Another slight downside that's a bit annoying with the Model 3 is the auto wipers. Still, 6 years later, and with software updates, they still don't work very well. And more often than not, I've found myself just manually pressing the wiper stalk and using the scroll wheel on the steering wheel to manually adjust their speed, which is fine, but I would really prefer if the auto wipers just actually worked. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is range, and overall, it's not a downside to me. 6 years later, I've lost maybe 15 miles of total range on the car, though it's a bit hard to tell because I think Tesla did update their range algorithms after criticism that they were kind of fudging the numbers early on. I wish they had a setting like my iPhone that shows the overall battery health and capacity. Overall, the around 300 miles of range I still get with my car is plenty adequate for my needs. I've only ever had range anxiety once in 6 years of ownership, and it was on a very cold winter night during the holidays, and there were superchargers along my route, so I was actually fine, but when I had my car parked, I just didn't expect its range to drop so drastically. But other than that, I haven't had any other range anxiety issues. Now, what about maintenance costs? Well, after 6 years and 18 service center visits, and yes, I did count, the total repair cost for my Model 3 is $7,585.37. However, that's not my total out-of-pocket cost, because I've had situations like I was rear-ended, my windshield got cracked, I had a flat tire, I cracked 2 rims on a giant pothole. Insurance covered a lot of those situations. My total out-of-pocket cost has only been $3,722.22, which is just below the average vehicle maintenance cost. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on the issues you run into with your car. Speaking of which, my mileage is 49,000 miles or 78,858 kilometers after 6 years. So given what I know about Tesla and the experience I've had with my Model 3 over the past 6 years, would I still buy a Tesla today? That answer is more complicated than it needs to be. But in general, I think there are 2 ways you can look at that question. One is just by looking at the product, and then the other is by looking at the total macro view. Overall, the Tesla Model 3 is an excellent product, and I'd certainly be tempted to buy it again when my current vehicle reaches the end of its life. But where my hesitation would come in is with the service experience I've had locally. The service center is just always overcrowded, the employees always seem kind of overworked, and it's just a more stressful experience than it needs to be. Though I've thoroughly enjoyed Tesla's mobile service experience, that's been quite awesome actually. So yeah, I'm kind of frustrated that I'm on the fence about whether or not I'd get another Tesla Model 3 because the product itself is good and the new refreshed Model 3 looks amazing. But for me, it's really going to depend on if Tesla can mature into the sizable company it is now, or if the chaos of its top leader is allowed to continue. If you've got a Model 3 and you're in a similar situation and you feel similarly, or if you don't feel the same way, definitely let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more long-term reviews of tech products like my recent review of the Nothing Phone 2 or the iPhone 15 Pro Max, both of which you can get to by clicking the cards here. And if you like this video, you found it helpful, hit that thumbs up button below, really helps us out. For 6 months later, I'm Josh Tedder. Thanks for watching.